My name is Greg Baker, and I founded VeriFreight, and VeriFreight is revolutionizing the way that trucking companies get paid. This is Steve. Steve, he's a trucker. Steve is actually kind of pissed. Well, not kind of. Steve is a pissed off trucker. I actually met Steve on an online forum, and he helped me realize the opportunity that exists in this space. It was actually a rant that went on for several pages. That's just a small snippet of it. But Steve's problem was that he wasn't getting paid fast enough. It actually took him 43 days between when he delivers a shipment and actually collects on the work that he did 43 days ago. 10 of those days is Steve's fault, because it takes him on average 10 days to get that invoice into the hand of his clients. The problem is that this makes it really hard for Steve to keep his trucks on the road. In fact, he's got to front all the money for fuel, for maintenance. He's got to pay the bills on financing for the trucks that he bought originally. He has to front all this cost. And Steve decided that he would factor his accounts receivables to help his cash flow problems. And so what factoring is, if you have an outstanding invoice, you take it to a company that factors invoices. You say, look, I have this invoice. I'm not going to collect on it for 30 days, but I need the money now. They say, OK, we'll give you 90% of that. And then 30 days later, they collect 100%. And that's how they make their 10%. Well, can anybody see a problem with what's going on here? Steve's profit margin is only 6%. It costs 4 to 12% to factor. How sustainable is that? Well, unfortunately for Steve, it wasn't. He lost his business. Steve isn't alone, though. 45% of the revenue that motor carriers take in annually ends up going through factoring companies. So what does that mean? Well, there's 750,000 motor carriers in the United States. $350 billion is what they take in annually in revenue, and $6 billion of that goes to factoring companies directly as factoring company profits. Now, that's a great opportunity, but it's also a terrible thing because that's coming directly out of the profits of the motor carriers who actually move the freight in America. So what's the challenge? Let's build a solution that actually helps them manage their cash flow. VeriFreight's going to do that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make Steve good at invoicing. VeriFreight's payment service gets Steve paid 10 days faster. We do that by, first of all, letting them take pictures with their mobile phone of the documentation they get at delivery. That's the proof of delivery. Sometimes there's some other supporting documentation. They've got to be able to get those into the invoice and then send that with the invoice. So we offer them that. Then the second thing we do is we automatically send that invoice to both their accounting system and integrate with their accounting system and the client on the same day they deliver the load. And it's free. Did I say it was free? OK. The second part of how we're going to help Steve manage his cash flow is we're going to use factoring for good. So that free invoicing service I was talking about, that's the platform that we're going to offer financing through. So we're going to make it really easy for Steve to pick and choose the invoices that he wants to borrow against and the ones that he doesn't. We're actually going to be the first factoring company to allow them to do that. So if they want to factor this invoice, they can. If not, that's something that distinguishes us from existing solutions. The second thing we're going to do, and you can see here on our calendar, we're going to reward them for managing their cash flow better. So they can choose when they get paid, and if they can wait a week, instead of 4%, it might be 2%. It might be 3%. If they can wait 2 weeks, it might go down to 2%. So we actually incentivize good financial planning on behalf of the motor carriers. So let's talk about our customers. Who is Steve? Well, the average motor carrier has about 11 trucks. They process about 110 invoices a month. When all is said and done, they represent $6,600 a month or $80,000 per year of potential factoring revenue for VeriFreight. Speaking of revenue, by the end of this year, we want to have our first 3 factoring clients, and we want to generate about $30,000 in revenue from that. Next year, we're going to scale that to 50 clients, taking in about $3 million. And then in 2017, we're going to scale that even further to 150 clients at $8 million in revenue. So once again, I'm Greg Baker, and my CTO is Alex Dovenmill. He's over here. He's our Vanna White today. And as you can see, between the two of us, we have 16 years of software engineering and business analysis experience. 3 years ago, I started a consulting company for software in the logistics space. And we know how to listen. So one of the things we both noticed across our entire careers is that if you innovate in a box, you're not really going to help people. I've seen very talented engineers spend lots of time to achieve such mediocre results because they're not listening to their customers. We know that 3 years isn't enough to make us the leader in this industry, but we know that our customers have thousands of collective years of experience, and we know how to leverage that to build software that really solves solutions. And that's why we're going to succeed above and beyond what anybody else has been able to do in this industry. We've got some great advisors to help us along the way. David Miller, the co-founder of Avid Exchange, has taken a very active role and helped us a ton. Chris Cobb is the CEO of Armstrong Transport, a company that grows to a freight brokerage that grows to $100 million in revenue last year. Adam Levy was the Senior Vice President of Marketing for SnapAV, a company that recently sold for about $200 million. And some of our milestones, we actually released a product last month. It targets the freight broker side of the equation. It's a small, simple app that helps them perform vetting, like due diligence on motor carriers before they hire them. It was kind of a way for us to get our foot in the door in this industry. We actually went post-revenue with that this month. By June, we're going to start our invoicing service beta. And then in, I can't read. And then in September, our financing partner will be identified for our first factoring client by October. So we're asking for $400,000, most of which will go to some key hires that we need in sales and marketing, also to fund our product development, pay the salaries of our developers, and help us launch marketing, and also investigate patents and IP around the unique way in which we're proposing to factor invoices. So Steve needs our help. Help me help Steve. So if you want to talk later, I should be pretty easy to find. I'll be the guy with the trucking hat on. Thank you.
Great job.